Oddly, this might actually be your last opportunity to really leverage YouTube ads to make yourself a known expert and to build your company into a big brand. So who am I? I'm DK. I've been of internet marketing myself the last 22 years, helped Facebook, Experian, SurveyMonkey, other Fortune 500s, and a bunch of mom and pops. Okay, so why should you go all in on YouTube ads? YouTube has an exploding number of views these days. YouTube is the second most visited site after Google.com. YouTube gets more views than Facebook does, and they have billions and billions of watches of videos, and every single one of those, almost without exception, needs an ad stamped on it so they can make a buck. When people have big, complicated purchases these days, they'll spend hours and hours on YouTube watching everything they can to do a deep, deep dive. B2B companies use YouTube regularly to help them decide where to spend their money. I do, you probably do too. So on one side of the equation are the sites that are getting worse and worse ROI over time. Those are Facebook and Google.com. Still can make a buck on them, but it's getting a lot harder. Let's break down what's happening with Facebook first. So why are Facebook clicks getting more expensive? One part of it is that Facebook has much worse data than they used to. They used to be able to stalk you all over the internet, and iOS has clamped it down. Because of the iOS restrictions now, Facebook knows what you're doing on Facebook, but they have a lot less data about what you and other users are doing on other places. The other thing that happened is the value of your dollar has decreased. As the US government and the governments of the rest of the countries are just printing money like crazy to try to handle their debt ceiling, your dollars are getting lower and lower in value, and the lower in value your dollars go, because there's so many of them, cost per click apparently goes up and up. Because the markets are getting more and more efficient, advertisers are getting smarter and smarter. They're figuring out how to extract more money out of every dollar they spend, and as a result of that, they're willing to bid more, and as they bid more, the cost per click is just going up. Not to mention the fact that you're constantly at risk of getting your ad account shut down. I'm regularly having Facebook advertisers come to me and tell me that their ads got shut down, sometimes for not even any reason at all. I even had my own account shut down for saying that I helped Facebook with their marketing, when in fact I actually had. Okay, here's one of the funny things. The AI sizes you up. Every single time you go onto Facebook or Google and you enter in information into the platform, the AI is figuring what you are doing. Now, it's the job of the AI not to maximize your ROI as an advertiser, but it's the job of the AI to make as much money as possible for the platform, meaning Facebook or Google. So if you're the AI and you've got an advertiser and you clamp down his revenue, you give him lousy clicks, you give him lousy visitors, and you see him increase his bids and increase his daily budgets, as an AI, what are you gonna do? You're just gonna squeeze the guy a little bit more. And the more you comply with those squeezes that the AIs are doing to you, that you're adjusting on the platform, it learns your behavior, it learns how to manipulate you. And if I were the AI, I would then use that data to change the results you're getting in the way that I could maximally squeeze the most revenue out of you without having you give up. And Google search ads are only slightly better than Facebook these days. I was doing research yesterday for a client that we got that wants to run ads to people who are concerned about their house going into foreclosure. The cost per click was averaging between $20 and $120 per click, just to see if an ad works. On the other hand, the last few years, we've had incredible results with YouTube ads. We've gotten really good ROI, and we've spent a significant amount of money. The media buyers that I work with, the businesses that I work with, everybody is reporting really, really good results, almost without exception, for running YouTube ads. I'm not saying it's easy, I'm not saying it's super simple to get started, but I'm gonna show you a very simple method where a couple days from now you could have your first YouTube ad running, and it's not gonna cost you a lot of money. Something else really important to understand with YouTube ads. iOS, Apple, is blocking data. So Facebook has very little information about the user. On the other hand, Google knows all your deepest, darkest secrets. You're trying to figure out how to clean your ears. You're trying to figure out how to get a stain out of your car. If you're trying to figure out what veterinarian to take your dog to, Google knows this. Google sees all your deepest, darkest secrets that you put into the Google search engine. Well, all that information Google has gets transmitted over to YouTube. So when Facebook tries to show you an ad interrupting your life, they're doing it based on a lot less data. When YouTube shows you information, they have all that information from Google.com that you've been searching for. They also have what you've been searching for on YouTube. They also have what you've been watching on YouTube. YouTube is able to give you much more specific suggestions of ads that are really connected to the things that are most important. Now, Facebook might understand you looking at your ex's boyfriend or girlfriend, but YouTube understands the things that you're really willing to spend money on and that are really important to you, including specific B2B topics. So why is it that people don't run YouTube ads? I bet your competitors don't even run YouTube ads. But when you run a YouTube ad, if you put yourself in front of the camera, you're vulnerable. There's the tension you feel. There's, I'm not relaxed, I don't know what to say. There's facial features like the eye twitch that I've got. If you're a little bit overweight, if you're not so good looking, there's something funny about you, something quirky, something weird. People are afraid to put themselves on a camera and be vulnerable like that. But here's the funny thing. People who are watching, well, some of them judge, but most of them don't judge. Most people who are watching YouTube admire the person who's willing to put themselves on camera. And yeah, occasionally we do make fun of them, but we recognize that they're real people, and because they're real people with real vulnerabilities and imperfections, we trust them more. So just by putting myself on a video, yeah, I'm taking a risk, yeah, you could complain about me, but by putting myself in front of a video where you can really look at me and see what I'm like, I'm gonna get a tremendous amount of more of you knowing, liking, and trusting me than I would have had just by sending you a written email. Another reason that people don't want to run YouTube ads is they think they're complicated and they don't know what to do. By the time we get to the end of this video, I'm going to give you a simple series of steps that you can do to get a YouTube ad up really quickly that might just work on the first test. Even if it doesn't work, you're not going to spend a lot of money on it. It'll be a great learning experience. And then after that, you'll be able to iterate, try new things, use what you've learned, and pretty soon I bet you'll get one that's actually going to be profitable for you. Here's another thing. People think doing YouTube ads is really expensive. They think to shoot a video costs a lot of money. So I've got a fancy tech setup and I've spent a couple $1,000s on the camera and lighting, but you don't need that. I've done very successful YouTube marketing using nothing more than an iPhone and holding it with my hand, or having whoever the person on screen was holding it with their hand, walking and talking, or you can just get a tripod and set the cell phone in there. It comes out looking great. People don't really care that much on YouTube ads what it looks like. What they care most about is what it sounds like and how the person seems to them. Do they seem like they're trustworthy, or do they seem like they're trying to sell them something? At the beginning of this video, I was a little more tense, and it probably sounds a little bit more like I'm trying to sell something when I wasn't. I'm just trying to communicate information and help you understand. But by the time I get to this point in the video, I feel relaxed, and hopefully it's coming across to you as a real person with imperfections that is trustworthy. Something Frank Kern said a very long time ago is you don't have to worry if everybody likes you on the internet. You don't have to perform for everybody. What you're looking for is the small number of people on the internet who like you just the way you are, and for those people you can just be yourself, and those people will like you. The rest of the people, who cares? If you can overcome these obstacles, and I'm going to show you how to do it on this video, you can very inexpensively get your ads made, get them up on YouTube, and get some ROI. Once you've got some ads that are running profitably, YouTube has a huge volume, and you turn up the volume on them, same ads, the AI gets to know who the right people are, and you can scale it to the moon. But here's the deal, and I really believe this. I really think that we only have the next year or 2 or 3 or 4 to be able to brand you as an individual or brand your company and permanently, in the minds of people on the planet, make yourself a well-known, loved, and trusted brand. I think the window of opportunity is going to close, and I'll go over why in a second. And once that closes, new people and new companies coming along to try to do this, they're not going to have the same opportunity you have. What is actually considered truth by people is about to shift radically. Okay, now a little conspiracy theory warning. What I'm going to go over is going to almost sound like a conspiracy theory to you, but I have a long history of being an early adopter on big technology things, sometimes a decade or 2 before they come to fruition, that turned out to be really, really successful and true. When I helped Facebook ads back in 2008, 2009, I was publicly speaking about how I thought Facebook ads were going to become a big deal and their revenue one day would rival Google. People just laughed at me and they thought I was stupid. But the truth is, a decade and a half later, Facebook does have a massive revenue and has turned into a pretty successful company. Facebook revenue is in the same ballpark as Google's. For over a decade now, the smartest marketers, when they are going in and adjusting all the settings, what happens is we start to begin to have a conversation with the AI at either Google or Facebook. We'll adjust settings, we'll send out information, we'll show ads, we'll turn things on, we'll turn things up, and we'll watch how the AI responds to us. And you see things where you'll punish the AI by decreasing costs, and then your performance increases, and you can't quite figure out why it is. Well, over the time, what a lot of people have come to the conclusion on is that we're actually communicating with the AI. We're sending information through APIs, through settings, through our ads. We're sending information to the AI, and then the AI is sending information back to us by adjusting who they actually show the ads to. As a result of this, about once a year when I'm talking to one of the reps at Google, I'll ask them, I'll go, listen, Do you have a console yet where you can actually type in and type text to the AI and have it answer you? And everybody's always said no. I've heard no, I've heard no, I've heard no, and I've heard no. But the last year I was actually talking to somebody and they said to me, this was about 6 months ago, they said to me, well, kind of. And so what's happening now is they get information, and if you think about it, when you're in the ad console of Google or Facebook and you get these little warnings and suggestions popping up, that's the artificial intelligence system gathering data about you and who you're advertising for and the users and communicating to you. Then when you turn around and set the settings, you're actually communicating back to the AI. So you've already been talking to AIs for years. So how does this all tie together with YouTube ads? Well, here's what's coming. By now, you've probably experimented with ChatGPT and found that you can have what almost feels like a conversation with it. And sometimes it's really stupid, and sometimes it gives you really smart answers. You've probably also been on YouTube or Facebook and seen these deep fakes where they'll take a celebrity or a political figure and they'll make a video that's so realistic, you can't even tell that it's a fake person. Well, that's coming. And somewhere between 6 months from now, a year from now, 5 years from now, it's going to be really easy where you sit down at your computer and you can say, make a 35-year-old, pleasant, attractive woman wearing a business suit who's confident and acts like she has a PhD in robotics, and she's talking to you about the subject of blank, and she ends up recommending your product. And you could build a whole persona out. You can build a series of ads. You can have organic ads. You can have YouTube ads. You can have long-form content, short-form content with this synthetic being, this being that doesn't even exist, and there's not going to be any way that the viewer is going to know the difference. So what effect is this going to have on us? Right now, if I see something on video, I can look for a little glitch. I can look for something funny around the edges. I can usually tell if it's fake. But in 3-5 years from now, we're not going to be able to tell it's fake anymore. And so if somebody comes to the market with ads, with a new brand, with a new person, with a new product, you're going to watch it and you're going to go, I don't know if it's true or false. You're going to have to find some other way to verify that the product's actually any good. So what's that going to do to our trust in video? I think our trust in video is going to go down. But what happens to the people we already have developed a relationship? So there's people online that have really helped me. Some of these guys I've met in person and are friends, some of them I don't. Justin Brook, great friend. He built up an online trust with me, which was extraordinary. Grant Cardone, he's done the same thing. You take somebody like Frank Kern. I'm good friends with him now, but initially the only way I knew Frank was from what I watched on video. And I loved who the guy was on video, and so I came to know, like, and trust Frank, even though I'd never met him before. Alex Hormozzi, never met Alex in person, brief interactions online, but watching his videos, I have a tremendous amount of trust, a tremendous amount of belief in him. So that belief that I have in these guys, when the AI videos come along that are indistinguishable, I'm still going to trust Frank. I'm still going to trust Alex. I'm still going to trust Justin. I'm still going to trust Grant. But the new people coming along, I'm not going to trust them. I'm not even going to know if they're real people or not. So I think that this window of opportunity with YouTube ads, which is extraordinary right now, is going to disappear, and it's going to be somewhere between a year and 5 years from now. So I could be wrong. There could be something else coming along where we'll really be able to validate and know whether people are real or not. But I think online video is at great risk of getting to a point in the not too far future where we don't trust anything or anybody we see on it. But the people that we know, like, and trust, that we've developed real relationships online previous to that point, for the rest of our lives we'll always have belief in those people. But the new people coming along online, I'm not going to know if they're even a real person or not. But right now it's different. You guys are looking at me. I'm talking for quite a bit. I'm talking about quite a bit of information. Hopefully I'm demonstrating some competence that I have in the subject. There's a certain confidence from the decades of experience I have doing internet marketing. You see imperfections on me. There's imperfections on how I look. There's imperfections on how I act. There's imperfections on my appearance. There's imperfections in what I say. And through those imperfections, it conveys a real trust that I'm not a slick Hollywood salesman. I'm just a real guy sitting in his office being recorded. In another 5 years from now, I don't think you're going to be able to tell anymore. And in fact, all those imperfections are going to be programmed in. But at this point in time, you can be pretty sure I'm a human, because there's no way, with what I'm communicating with you and what's behind it, there's no way that I would have the money to invest for a really high fake video with a deep fake of me. I just wouldn't have any purpose. So let's get back to Google and their problem and how it can help you. They have billions and billions of video views that they need to monetize. You're not advertising on YouTube, or if you are, it's in a very small way. You haven't expanded all the way to what you could do. And if you really want to go all in on YouTube right now, which I recommend you do, You'll also start a YouTube channel where you're going to do long-form organic YouTube videos. Game over, you win. But let's do the first step first. Let's get you to launch your first YouTube ad as quickly as we possibly can. Here are the steps to do it. Now you want to be really, really careful of campaign budgets and also bids. If you keep a really tight eye on these, you might be able to get away with running these tests for only some hundreds of dollars. The first thing I recommend you do is find something really, really valuable in your organization. It could be as simple as an ebook. It could be a regular book that you've written. It could be a consultation with an expert who can help solve problems of your users. It could be a sample of your product. You want to come up with something that's inexpensive for you to give away for free, or maybe charge a couple bucks, but free is really going to get you moving when you first get started. Something that's really valuable you can give away for free that your ideal customer, when they're in this point of looking around online, they're going to hear it and go, oh my gosh, I would love to get that. When you tell people about it, they're like, oh, I want that. I really want that. That's really valuable. I would spend money on that. If you're willing to give away something like that, then that's going to be the generator that really powers this thing and makes it work. The next thing you're going to need is somebody in your organization who really understands this thing you're giving away for free. Preferably, they really understand your customer. Preferably, they really understand your company. Preferably, even more, they understand the whole variety of products and ways that you can help your customers. You want somebody who's a real expert who really believes in your product. I don't care what they look like. I don't care if they stutter. I don't care if they speak in complete sentences. But that belief in your product and enthusiasm about what you do, and that competency and understanding of your product and your customer, that is the person I want. The next thing is to find a pleasant background that's relevant to your product. So I do digital marketing. This is fine. Almost any background would work for me. For your product, you might need something that looks really clean and sterile. You might need something that looks outdoors and beautiful. Pick something that's relevant to your product, but don't kill yourself on it. Almost any pleasant background will do. If you have a physical product or a store or an office, having that behind you in the shot is also highly relevant and would make sense. You just don't want something that's going to turn off your customers. You want something neutral or pleasant. You can also go out in nature into a public spot, find somewhere you can legally film, and put something attractive and pleasant or grandiose in the background. Just having an iPhone sitting on a tripod, or if necessary, even being held in your hand, is all you need for equipment. If you want to get really fancy, get a ring light on Amazon, preferably that you can adjust to warmer colors so your face lights up. Now this piece is really important. You want a good microphone. You only have to spend $20, $30, $40. Yeah, you can spend a lot more. And have it set up so that it transmits wirelessly to your camera, and that way you're going to pick up much better sound. When you take video like this is being shot in very high definition with a really nice camera. But by the time it goes through the editor, by the time it gets uploaded to YouTube, by the time it gets read by your browser, each step of that is going to reduce the quality, and this super high definition video is going to be losing a lot of its detail. The audio, on the other hand, comes through perfectly, and so if there's a good, crisp audio, if you lean in and say something significant and important, you want it to pick up that intention, you want it to pick up that emotion, so you want to at least have a decent microphone, and again, you can get one literally for tens of dollars that's going to do a great job. Now here's a trick I've got. I've done a lot of video over the years. I've done probably 1,000 videos in my life. And I can just take some notes that I'm looking at in between shots. I look at my notes, then I speak to the camera, and I can do just great with it. For a lot of people, that's not going to work. So for most people that are beginning at this, here's what I do. I have one person in front of the camera, then I have somebody else sitting behind the camera. And the person behind the camera asks them questions. So if I were doing this for myself, I would have that person ask me questions like,
how long have you been doing internet marketing for?
Oh, so I've been doing internet marketing for, gosh now, I started 2001, so I guess that's 22 years at this point. That's a long time. And then I might have them ask me something like,
who are your best clients?
Well, we usually look for people. So our best clients, we usually look for businesses that are doing between about $10 million and $100 million a year. We occasionally do billion-dollar clients, but lately it's mostly the $10 million to $100 million range, really good ethical people with products that we can be proud of. And so I'll have them do questions like that. And when you're answering a question of somebody off camera, people tend to forget that the camera's on, and they speak a little more comfortably and a little more naturally. And just like this video, how I start off a little stiffer and it sounds a little bit fake and like sales, the more the person talks, the more comfortable they get. So what I'll do is I'll have them ask questions. Question 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then come back and ask question 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 again. And by cycling round and round like that, each cycle through, they become ever more comfortable and sound much more natural. So here are the questions you really want to ask them and have them answer. And like I said, have them answer it many, many times, so when the editor takes it, he can take the best ones. So you want the person to introduce themselves, like, who are they? Oh, my name is David Klein. I go by DK. I'm an internet marketer. I've been doing it for 21 years. Have them describe who they are. Or, I'm Joe Smith. I work for industrial technology making proprioceptive receptor transmitters. I'm just making that up, obviously. And I've been doing this for over 25 years and I'm an engineer by training. Give them a little bit of introduction so that the audience actually knows who you are and why you should trust them. I've tried to weave that into my conversation so it wasn't quite as abrupt, but I'm sure you've noticed that I talked about who I am and what I've done. Have them explain why they're an expert. Have them explain who your company is and have them explain what your company does. So earlier today, I texted Frank Kern about this next part. He taught this to me 15 years ago and I wanted to make sure I had permission to use it. His answer was that he had actually stolen it from John Carlton. Frank says, tell them what you've got, tell them what it'll do for them, and tell them what to do next. So you want to ask your expert those 3 questions for sure. So now I'm going to go into a little bit more detail about the whole thing should go. So the very beginning of a YouTube ad, the person's watching and they're scrolling and they're skipping videos, and you need to get them stopped in their tracks. They call it a scroll stopper, something abrupt. You literally can do almost anything. You could come onto the screen and go like this. You could come onto the screen and go like this. One great marketer I know, Tyson Zahner, came on screen wearing a hippie outfit, which is very not his personality. If you go on YouTube and you watch some ads, you'll see the most engaging, entertaining ones in the first 3 seconds do something to stop you in your tracks and get you to pay attention. One of my favorite ones I ever saw was somebody going like this, knocking on the screen as if they were stuck inside your computer. The next thing you want to do is validate for them that they're in the right place. Back in the days when I was a chiropractor, we used to run an ad on Facebook that would say, are you a 23-year-old UCSD student? And people would read that and go, yeah, that's me. So they would immediately indicate to them that that was a communication that was for them and not for somebody else. If you were selling to salesmen, you might say something like, have you checked your pipeline this week, or is your pipeline weak? And only a salesman would resonate with that language. So telling them what you've got, you want to really explain your free thing that you're giving away and why it's so great. The next step, tell them what it will do for them, is simply that. You take this great thing that you're giving them for free and you tell them what it will do for them. And then the last step, tell them what to do next. So this could be as simple, you see it on YouTube, smash that button. But you could more nicely say somebody, please click the button below to get your free gift. Or, we'd love to talk to you on the phone. Please click on the link below and give us your name and contact information and pick out a time. Just specifically, clearly, simply state for them what they're supposed to do next. The first time you do this, don't worry about the wording, don't worry about the performance, don't worry about how perfectly you do it. Just get it out there and get it online. You'll be surprised at what happens with the results. If you're coaching the person on screen or you are the person on screen, keep recording long enough till the person actually relaxes and starts to be themselves. See if you can get yourself or the other person on screen to tell some interesting stories. We all love hearing stories. People love to hear about how Facebook went from tens of millions of dollars a year in revenue to hundreds of millions of dollars a year in revenue the year that I helped them. People love to hear about the early days of internet marketing and how I used to go to Google and have lunch with Matt Cutts, who ran the search engine. Whatever your product is, you've got great stories. It could be just an interesting story about your employees, your customers, but really try to find good stories that demonstrate how your product actually helped somebody. As I said, make sure to end the video with an extremely clear call to action. Press that button there. One time my wife and I did an internet marketing video where we had 200% of the people who saw the video click the button. And we did this because the screen was this big and that we made a red button that filled up half the screen. And we were standing at the beach, jumping in the wind, pointing like this, going, push the button, push the button. So her and I are jumping, push the button. And we had such success at it that almost everybody hit the button. Then they hit the back button, watched the video again, and then hit the red button again for a 200% conversion rate of button clicks. And then again, just keep reshooting every question, every statement over and over and over again until it comes across relaxed, comfortable, natural, believable. Now here's the trick to make it actually look good and work. You've got to have the right content. The person has to believe in the product. You have to have the right offer that you're giving away, but it's going to look messy. It's going to look amateurish. Here's what you do. You go online on Upwork or Fiverr and you find somebody, you actually watch their videos that they've edited, you look for a video editor, and you look for somebody that looks cool and hip and interesting when you watch their videos. The video should look modern, like a TikTok video or a YouTube short or Facebook reel. And you find somebody who can edit like that, and you give them all your raw footage, and probably for $100 or a couple $100, they can edit you a video that's gonna look really, really cool. Even if you have a boring speaker that hems and haws and has big pauses, maybe messes things up from time to time, if you give it to a good editor, they'll take out all the good parts, they'll get rid of all the bad parts, they'll put in some motivational music, just a little bit in the background, and the whole thing will come to life. They also can put in graphics, they can put in information, they can put in arrows. If the guy stumbles or the gal stumbles on their verbal text that they're saying, they can put big words across the screen that will make it clear. You should probably expect to spend a few $100s to take an hour of shooting or a half hour of shooting and edit it down to 2 to 4 minutes. And again, be more concerned about the audio and less concerned about the video. If there's spots where the video is just terrible, they can put in B-roll, which is stock footage that is representative of what's being said. Colors can be corrected on video editing. The audio is almost impossible to correct, but the video is pretty easy. And for the video part, good lighting helps a lot. Sincere delivery when the person's talking is essential. They can stutter or get confused what they're saying, but as long as they really believe what they're saying, that's going to come across in the video and in the audio, and people are going to trust them. And really, really important, I can't emphasize it enough, you are a real person. The person who goes on the camera is a real person. There could be something funky going on. They could have a speech impediment. They could act weird, they could feel uncomfortable, they could look away from the camera. But like Theodore Roosevelt says in his famous talk, The Man in the Arena, which I recommend you watch, the guy or the gal who's gonna win is the one who actually gets in the arena, the one who's willing to stand up and put the camera on them. They are going to have the opportunity to score the basket. The person who never does is the person who never tries. They're never even gonna get the chance, and that's why your competitors aren't here yet. If possible, get a good tracking guide to track all the micro conversions of each step the person goes through the funnel. If you set that up right and send the information back to the Google Ads console running YouTube ads, you're gonna have radically enhanced performance. A good rule of thumb when starting out on this is if you've spent $200 on the ads and you haven't at least gotten one lead, there's probably something wrong and you should go back and figure out what's messed up in the process. The first place to look for something wrong is to look at the offer. The offer being off of the free thing you're giving away is usually the cause for failure. What's really interesting about this too is you don't need big numbers. You don't need massive number of views. You don't even need massive numbers of leads. We recently had a lead that could have been worth $1 million if I'd said yes to them, that came about as a result of a video that only had a few hundred views. All right, you should be able to do the first version of this using what I just taught you for under $1,000. You try it, you succeed, probably fail, but you're gonna learn a lot in the process. You're gonna take what you've learned, you're gonna modify it, you're gonna do it again, and go through iterations of that a handful of times, and eventually you're gonna start to get leads. Once you've got it actually producing and getting a decent ROI, then you just scale the heck out of it and crank up the budgets. At this point, if you're wondering whether you should do this or not, you should, and you should do it yourself. You're gonna learn a ton from the process, and you're not gonna have to spend a whole heck of a lot of money. Go shoot some video.